Get you some of that. Hard to beat. So welcome back to the sawmill, friends. It's hay wheat here at the farm. I started cutting yesterday morning and I'm not even halfway through yet. I'm gonna take you guys along with me today as we start cutting this hay and getting things ready for round baling. You guys hang in there. Alright guys, I started on this field yesterday, and I say that I cut hay for most of the day. I spent half the day getting the mower ready and the tractor ready to go. I probably started after lunch yesterday. This is the largest part of this farm. This field right here below the creek up there, that tree line's a creek. This field is about 8 acres. We about got it done though. We got this little part right here in the middle, and this part will be ready for the hay tedder. So as soon as we finish this one up, I'll come down here to the bottom, right across from the pole barn, and finish that up. And then we will go over here right behind of the log cabin and do that little corner right there. That's usually the thickest hay on this farm because it stays kind of wet down there in the off season. Pretty good stuff down there. And once that's done, I got a small field in front of my house, and then we'll go across the creek below the cemetery and do that stretch right up there. It's pretty steep. I don't cut all of that, but I'll probably cut 70% of it. And this is our second cutting of hay this year, and it was not the best as far as the growth goes. I mean, it's decent, but it could have been a whole lot better. It didn't get really tall because of that drought we had back in July. Still pretty wet. Tried to get that tethered today so we can let it dry out a little bit better. And let me give you guys an idea of how tall the hay is, which is not too tall at all, but it's worth cutting, and I don't think it's going to grow much more. Got some clover in there and some sage. Not the best quality. This field hasn't been taken care of for a long time. In the off season, we'll get some lime and try to get this field in better shape for next year. You can see the height of it right there. Not too bad, but if it wasn't for that drought, this would look a whole lot better. But we got to get what we can get because it's not going to do any better. That's about as tall as it's going to get. It'll be fall here before you know it. So if you're new to my channel, I'm using a TYM tractor. This is a 754 model. It's right at 75 horsepower to run my mower. And let me show you my mower. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name of it because I have no idea how to say it. So this right here is the mower. Right there is the name as far as the maker. I do know it was made in Italy. I know that much about it. But this is a drum mower. It's got 2 drums right there on the bottom. It's a pretty simple mower. It's not hard to adjust or use or nothing like that. The only thing I don't like about it is it only takes a 6.5 foot cut. A disc mower would take a whole lot bigger of a cut than this thing would, but a disc mower is a whole lot more money. I bought this one brand new. When we bought the farm back in June, it cost me about $3,800. So not too bad for an entry-level drum mower. And it's not giving me one issue so far. I've done a lot of cutting with it. It's been a good mower. I just wish it was a little bit bigger. And this is the tractor that we use. 754 model, like I was saying. I've had this for about 3 years. It's a really good tractor. It does a good job back here on the power takeoff. Has plenty of power for this mower right here. I think it's 65 horsepower on the PTO. So today, friends, we're going to finish up mowing. That's the first part of this process in making hay. When we get that done, we'll get on the TYM 5835 and put the tedder on it and go around the fields and tedder this grass so it will start drying out faster. Now, as soon as we get these fields teddered, we'll let them dry out for about 2 days. It may take longer than that because it's cooling off right now, but I would say at least 2 days. And we'll be ready to do our windrows and bring out the baler and start getting our round bales done and finishing this up for the year. And as far as the round baling goes, if you guys are paying attention, I got me a new hat. A lot of you guys know what that trademark is right there. I got me a brand new baler, and I'll show it to you guys before the video's over today. So stick around for that. Head over here to the side-by-side before we get started and get my leaf blower and clean off the tractor just a little before we get going today. Now, for those of you that might be interested, this drum mower is actually a pretty simple little attachment. It's belt driven over there off the power takeoff, and we got two drums right here in the bottom. That's why they call it a drum mower, of course. And these drums pretty much just ride on the ground, and right there is the cutter. And there's just a couple of those on each one of these drums, I think maybe 4. And that's all that cuts the hay, and it's not real long. But check it out. That's all it takes to cut this hay down. Pretty good machine. Now I got some thicker grass up here, but that's Johnson grass right there. That is not good stuff. Cows do not like Johnson grass, and that stuff's invasive. It will take over your field before you know it. I got to work on that problem right there in the off season as well. So whenever you have farmland that's not taken care of properly, like this pasture's not been taken care of for the past few years, they cut it for hay, but nobody done any soil samples or fertilizing or nothing like that. You get stuff like that. You get Johnson grass, crabgrass, sage, all kinds of stuff tries to take over, and that really hurts the quality of your hay. All right, guys, here's the progress we've made so far. I finished that field that we started this morning. Now I'm working on this field in front of the house. And if you're wondering why I left the doors open on the tractor, there's a fly in there that's pestered me for the past 2 hours. He won't leave. I don't know what's wrong with him. I opened up the side doors, the sunroof, he won't leave. He's bound and determined to cause me some trouble today. So hopefully while I leave these doors open, he'll get out of there. So this is what I'm working on now. This is about a ½ acre, and if you're wondering where we're at, right there's my house. I was mowing this year, and last year I let my neighbor cut it for hay, and I'm kind of glad we're cutting it for hay again because there's some pretty good stuff in here. Check that out. Not too bad, but still pretty wet right there. It's going to take it at least 2 days to dry out. Hopefully no longer than 2 days though. We'll have to wait and see what happens. So the tractor needs some diesel, and unfortunately with that mower on it, I can't take it up there to where the tank is beside the old sawmill placement. I should just say the old sawmill building. That sounds a lot better, my goodness. Old sawmill placement. My goodness, where do I come up with this stuff? So the old sawmill building is where the 100-gallon tank is. I can't take the tractor up there with this mower because it will hit something. So as bad as I hate to do it, I guess I'll go get a 5-gallon tank and do it manually. Gosh, I hate to do that. I was going to come over here and use my transfer tank in the truck, but guess what? It's empty. That tank holds about 40 gallons. I need to go fill it up. Did you guys hear that? That rooster's hollering because he sees me walking in that direction. He hates me for some reason. I don't understand it. These cans right here, guys, are made by a company called Sure Can. This is not sponsored. I bought this with my own money. I got 4 of these, and man, they work good. I'll tell you what, nicest can I've ever used. That spout right there don't have any kind of that Safety Sally stuff on it. It's got a valve right there at the bottom, and to open that up, you just push this button down. Pretty simple, pretty easy to use. If you want one of these, I'll leave a link to Amazon. That's where I bought mine at. Linked in the video description. All right, guys, we got some fresh diesel, and more importantly, some fresh coffee. Let's get back to cutting. I think about 3 more passes on this little front field, and it will be done, and then we'll move on down to beside the log cabin and right behind it. You guys hang in there. I'm going to show you that new baler here in just a minute, and you won't want to miss that. There's your hint. You know what that means right there? Most of you guys do. I'll see you in a minute. Man, that smells good. You guys want to smell it? Get you some of that. Hard to beat. Alright, guys, finished up this little field, on to the next one. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Off camera, I'm going to cut this little field beside the log cabin. It's probably 3/4 of an acre, something like that. And as soon as I get done with that, I'll come get you guys and I'll take you over to see the new baler. Alright, so sorry if I'm yelling here. I don't have my microphone on today. This is the next field we're going to do. It's probably 3/4 of an acre. It's not too big. I got the creek right over there. That's why I stopped on that side and didn't come over. Got some pretty thick grass in here. I got this maple tree right here in the middle. That needs to go. I'm tired of mowing around it. It serves no purpose. But we usually get some decent hay off this cut. But let me show you what started to move in on us right here. You guessed it, some good old Johnson grass. And that stuff right there, guys, has went to seed. That's not good. I got to fool with this in the off season and get rid of it. As you can see right here beside it, it's already starting to take over the field just a little. Can't stand that stuff. Doesn't make good hay. Cows don't like it. So real fast, for you guys out there cutting hay, what do you do about Johnson grass? Leave me a comment below and maybe I'll learn something. All right, guys, just finished up this one. Took me about 10 minutes, wasn't too bad. But this is some nice thick grass though. Check it out. Got some clover in there, a little bit of sage and some other stuff, and some of that terrible Johnson. But this is the thickest stuff that we've cut since yesterday. You can see the difference in this field right here. See those little piles, or windrows rather. That sounds a lot better. You act like I know what I'm talking about here. I am a YouTuber, you know. And as you look over there, the windrows are there. You just can't see them because they're nowhere near as thick as this stuff right here. Out of everything we're cutting today, we'll get the best yield off this field right here. And that little triangle behind the log cabin, right behind that little yard barn, that's some really nice thick stuff over there. That'll be pretty good also. So before I start cutting that, let me show you guys my new hay baler. I'm pretty excited about this. All right, guys, here it is. This is a New Holland Row Belt 450 Utility Plus. I went over to North Carolina, about 2.5 hours away, to pick this up. And guys, I've been wanting one of these ever since we bought this farm back in June, because I hate borrowing other people's stuff. And this is just something I need to have around. So before I show you guys the specs on this baler, let me show you how me and my buddy Richard got this thing off the trailer. I went to North Carolina to buy it, but they had to deliver it because my trailer was too small to haul it back. So they had a hot shot guy picked it up and bring it over on a flatbed. And it took me and my buddy Richard a decent amount of time and some troubleshooting, I guess you could call it, and some redneck ingenuity on how to get that thing off the trailer. Check out this footage and I'll see you here in just a second. All right, so if you're wondering what we used, I used that new attachment for the skid steer, and I got a drawbar hitch at Harbor Freight for $30. Without that, I don't know what we would have done. It would have been hard to get this off the trailer without backing the tractor up to it. So guys, this is a New Holland, like I was saying earlier. It's brand new. Got a really good deal on this. It's a 2023 model. That's why I got a pretty good deal. It was a holdover from last year. This is a 4x5 baler. Right now it's set up to do 4x4s, and I'll explain that here in a few days why it's set up for a 4x4 right now and not a 4x5. But this is a row belt baler. Right there's your belts. It's a really nice unit. I got a new one because I was looking at used ones, and guys, I really hated to sink about $10,000 into a used baler and get a piece of junk. So I thought, if I spend a little bit more, I can get a brand new one with a warranty, and something like this, friends, will last me pretty much a lifetime over here at my farm on what I'm doing. So some people were asking me down in the comments over on my Patreon site, because those guys got to see this a couple of days ago, do you really need a baler? Well, I do. I got land here. I need to take care of it. I need equipment to take care of it. And I didn't want to use one. I went and looked at them, and guys, most of them look pretty rough. And I hate to buy used equipment, for one. And number two, I hate to buy used equipment that I'll have to work on. I want something that works, and I want a warranty. And I got that with this baler. I got a 3-year warranty with this baler. I think it was a pretty good deal. Now guys, here in a few days when we use this baler for the first time, there's 2 things that needs to be done to it first. I need to add a counter to it that counts how many bales go through it. It didn't come with one, so I went over to my New Holland dealer in Jonesboro and bought one yesterday. And the second thing is, I got to run some wires from the baler to my tractor inside the cab to hook up the remote, because it has an electronic tying system that ties up the bales. So just a little bit of work here on the baler, probably an hour or so, and then we'll be ready to use it. And guys, I can't wait to put this thing to work. I tell you what, this is going to be fun right here. And on the day we do the baling, before we run anything through it, I'll open up the sides and the front and show you guys all the inner workings of it. So now let's get back to the hay cutting, because we can't use this thing until we got the hay on the ground. You guys hang in there. So right now, this is what I call the upper field, because it keeps on going up to the main road up here. And there's also a cemetery right up there. Look over my shadow, guys. I'm doing the best I can. That's the old Conkin Cemetery, if I remember right. If that's not the right word, I'll put it right here. I think that's the Conkin Cemetery, but I could be wrong. I do not own that cemetery. When we bought this farm, I had my lawyer take that off the deed, so I have nothing to do with that, although I do connect all the way around that cemetery. Now this right here, friends, does not lay too good up here on the hill. That's why hopefully this fall we'll put a fence on this part of the farm and put the cows in here. But this bottom part lays pretty good, and I usually get some decent hay off of it. All right, so once again, look over my shadow. I hate when I have my shadow in the camera view, but the sun's going down. There's nothing I can do. So anyways, guys, I just mowed this bottom part. This is probably 2 acres right here. Looks pretty good. The grass is actually pretty thick up here. It's not too bad. It's better than I thought it would be. And I'm going to continue on past that little hump right there toward that metal building. I own all the way to that metal building and up there where those big maple trees are. So the next section we will do is on the other side of this little hump right there, and it kind of goes downhill a little. And I'll probably stay off this hill right here. It's pretty steep. It's not real good hay. And to be honest with you, it makes me nervous in this tractor. I can mow this one right here because I can go straight up and down. But this is a lot steeper right there below the cemetery, and there's nowhere to turn around at the top. I just don't like being up there in this tractor. Maybe with time I'll get more confident, but right now it kind of worries me a little. But I'm going to mow this later on because we really don't ever bale that anyways, and I don't want to waste any time today because I'm already way behind schedule. Now originally I was only going to take about 30 minutes for dinner, but my wife had several things that needed my attention, so 2 hours later I'm finally back up here mowing. That's the way it goes sometimes when you run a farm. There's stuff that comes up all the time. So we're going to continue mowing here. It's already 6:30, and we'll get the mowing done, but I doubt we'll get the tethering even started tonight unless I can get this done in a hurry. But who knows? We'll see what happens. You guys hang in there, see what we can get done. I think we can get this done by 8 o'clock. All right, guys, got the mowing done, and we might as well get ready for tomorrow, which means putting the tedder on the 5835. This is a Walton 2-basket tedder, and if you're not familiar with this, it stirs up the hay so it can dry faster. And this one has one problem. I'm not sure if I done this last time or I bought it this way. You see one of the forks right there broke off, or one of the teeth rather. But I did go grab one yesterday so we can replace that. And it needs some grease and all the fittings. I also need to go up to the other building and get the PTO shaft because it ain't gonna work without it. And for those that are curious, it's 8 o'clock. So it took me an hour and a half to finish up that hill and get it ready. Not too bad. I did move the camera around a lot. If I wasn't filming this today, I would have been done mowing probably 3 hours ago. Maybe sooner. All right, let me looking back at the tractor. That's for the hay rake. I know it's in here somewhere, right there. Right there it is, replacement teeth, or tooth rather. I guess that's the correct terminology for that hay tedder. This right here, guys, was $5. Not too bad. Well, guys, when it comes to farming, as usual, nothing's easy. Everything breaks or you can't get it off. It never fails. This tedder is pretty old, and that bolt right there probably hasn't been taken off in a long time. I'm probably gonna need the impact. Man, that thing's tight. There we go. All right, guys, that's one less thing we have to do in the morning. Now, before we get this going tomorrow, I need to put some grease in it like I was saying and find the PTO shaft. I'm not sure where it's at. It's got to be up there in the mechanic shop somewhere. I just have to look for it. Can't remember where I put it. So anyways, guys, I think I'm going to call it a day. It's about 8:20. I have to clear off all these cameras, charge about 8 batteries, and work on a video that I filmed a week ago. Always something to do around here, guys. Always something to do. So in closing, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the like button down below, and I'll see you guys back here tomorrow. We're going to rake all the hay up, or ted it rather. Is that the correct term when you tedder it? We're going to tedder the hay. If that's not the right term, that's what I'm using anyway. So we're going to tedder the hay. Then when that's done, I'm going to run the sawmill for a few hours if I have time. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow.